Hi, I'm Dr. Tina Shermer Sellers. I'm a clinical sexologist, a marriage and family therapist, a graduate professor of human sexuality, and I'm a Christian. I want to tell you a little bit about how the Thank God for Sex project got started. About 10 years ago, I started to hear from clients and students of mine stories about how they were feeling about their sexuality and their bodies that were different than stories that I had heard in the past. Many of these people had come from conservative church backgrounds. They were describing feeling badly about their bodies, about sexual desire, about their sexual longings, and they were describing feeling perverted or ashamed. So I began to ask more questions, like what had gone different? What had changed? And what I found was many of them had gone through what was later called the purity movement, which got started in about 1992 out of the True Love Waits program that started out of Tennessee. In this particular way of thinking, it was around sexual purity, which wasn't well defined. It was this idea that all kinds of sexual thoughts, sexual feelings, sexual desire, and sexual actions were considered wrong, were considered a sin against God, and were considered a sin against your future partner. So of course this was taught to all adolescents, anybody before they were married. And so you know what it's like when you're an adolescent and your body is changing and you're feeling all kinds of desire, because we're all hardwired for intimacy and connection and pleasure. And so they were given no formal education about what was changing in their bodies, about sexuality, about sexual education at all. They were just told, don't. And if you do, if you feel sexual desire, if you feel sexual longing, or you act sexually in any way, including normal things like masturbation, you are sinning against God, you are sinning against your future partner. So what happened is that people went underground with their sexual thoughts and feelings, and they felt absolutely condemned. They felt absolutely ashamed for everything that was that they were feeling that was normal, absolutely normal, and they were sure that no one else was feeling what they were feeling, no one else was doing what they were doing, and they had no one to talk to about it. And so they felt this kind of deep shame and condemnation for years and years and years. Many described themselves as feeling like damaged goods and actually used that language. They felt like damaged goods. So the other thing I began to notice, though, is as many of these people got older, because of course many of them didn't get married right away. You know, they didn't find their partner, or they married early and the relationship didn't work for some reason and they found themselves single again. So many people began to question, wait a minute, I shouldn't be feeling so badly about myself because God has made all of us to feel sexual desire, to feel longing for deep, intimate connection with somebody else. We are all hardwired this way for intimacy and pleasure. So there's got to be another way for me to be in connection with my body, with sexuality, with my longing in a way that's different. So they began to ask different kinds of questions. And what I began to notice was as people began to ask these questions and find ways to heal, that I felt like we needed to find a way to bring these voices together. Both that people needed to know they weren't alone. They needed to know that other people had been through this experience too. And we needed to bring together the voices of people that were asking these questions and finding ways to heal. So that's how the Thank God for Sex project got started. We want it to be a place where you could hear other people's stories, find out that you're not alone. We want it to be a place where you can get resources and learn the things that maybe you didn't get a chance to learn before. We want it to be a place of safety and solidarity, a place free of judgment and condemnation. We want it to be a place filled with grace and love. And we want it to be a place where you can find community and where you can learn that your desire for intimacy and pleasure, your desire to find a way to be in relationship with your sexuality where God is in the center of it, is a good thing. We want you to know that there's a community of people like you, and we want you to find a home there. And so that's how this got started, and we want you to be among us and to be able to thank God for sex. So welcome.